Namaskaram everyone, welcome back to the podcast. So we have a dear and special Hatha Yoga teacher from Lucknow. Namaskaram Geetika Akka.
Namaskaram.
Yes. So before we go into the podcast, I just want to tell the audience that the audio format of this podcast is also available on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So you can check it out even if you're while driving, cooking, or doing whatever you want. So now back to the podcast. So Geetika Akka, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It really means a lot to me.
Oh,
So,
thank you so much for having me here.
so can we go directly into the podcast?
Yes.
So before we go into yoga and how awesome yoga is, we want to know more about you, maybe from your childhood or wherever you're comfortable with. So please, Akka.
Okay, where do I start?
School. When teacher caught you and threw you out of school or somewhere like that.
Oh, so I think as a kid, I was a very quiet kid, and I never got thrown out of class. So I've had a very good childhood, and I think I was like the good girls in the school doing whatever was needed.
You are in Lucknow only? Lucknow school only?
Yes, in Lucknow. I was born in Lucknow, so I did my schooling here only,
Which school?
and it's called Lamatnia Girls College.
Girls college.
Yes.
Oh, so no boys.
No,
So,
no boys.
so give us men who are listening to this insider information.
So yes, I think school life was good. I had a very good time in school. One of the things I remember from school is that I used to. It's an awkward memory to remember, but I used to remember reaching school early.
Oh,
So I used to live in a joint family. So there were four of us, four kids. So we used to all go in, together to school. So my school used to be the first one in order. So that's why they used to always drop me first. So I used to be so happy to reach school early when there's no one in the school. Uh, so
what would you do? Would you write something on the teacher's board?
No,
Some
I used to go and just sit on the first desk and just sit there. Sometimes I would also finish my homework, but mostly I would just go and sit there.
So you
So
are the first bencher kid, the studious kid. Were you that, or were you like how were you in sports and all, or were you more into studies?
it changed for me. I think when I was younger, I was not the first bencher. I used to be very chatty. I remember like fourth, fifth standard, my teachers always used to tell me you talk too much. Then I don't know what happened. As I grew up, I became like not the first bencher, but like the more into my books kind. And I was not into sports at all. I never used to play anything. I like even if they would tell me to run, no, I would be like, oh God, now I have to run. So even like at home, my brother was very active and my father is also like a sports person completely, and all of them play a lot of sports. Like at home also, we used to have a table tennis, like the table. So I used to only watch my brother and friends play. I never used to play.
Audience is an important part of sports.
Yes, exactly. I used to enjoy like more drawing and sketching and reading some books, and that time I remember reading a lot of Enid Blyton and those.
Me too.
Yeah, so I wouldn't do much sports. I used to enjoy dancing a little bit, but then that also I didn't really do like seriously. But yes, in school I used to enjoy dancing. So
So now you have to carry on to Masala at college. You're going to like
uh, masala. I don't know if there's any masala.
no masala. Oh my god. Boring podcast. Everyone please leave. Do not
No.
continue.
Uh, so then, well, after school, I think like I wasn't sure what I'm going to study. So I think at that time I was interested in studying psychology actually. So I started looking at schools for doing psychology, and I think nothing was suiting what I was imagining. I'm not sure what I was imagining, but I wasn't happy with the courses I was finding. So somehow, okay, what to do, what to do. Then I have a cousin who suggested this design. She spoke, I didn't know about this National Institute of Fashion Technology. She told me about it. And she said that because I used to draw and sketch and paint and, cut things and do those things little bit, I used to spend a lot of time with craft. So she told me, why don't you join this college? It's going to be really good for you. And then because I wasn't so sure about psychology, I did do 1 year of graduation. I joined like a college in Lucknow itself. I wasn't sure what I'm doing, but I had joined it. In that time, my cousin told me about this college, and then I applied for it. And then, of course, I got selected in NIFT. So that's how fashion design happened. I didn't have like a big dream or anything to become
Okay.
a designer, but yes, I used to enjoy doing creative things as a kid.
So you have to
So
talk more about the life in the fashion institute, like how it is, and
so yes,
Uh,
I went to NIFT Hyderabad. So of course, initially I think it was a little difficult because it was first time away from home. So I used to miss home a lot. I used to call my mother in the morning and cry. Because initially, I mean, I was liking the college, but I think just the fact that you're staying away from home, I wasn't so happy. But slowly, I think I started enjoying it. As I started to make friends in the college and as I started liking the course, I started enjoying it quite a lot. So it was very good as a personal experience and as education, because it's very holistic in nature. It's not just book study, it's also a lot of practical things to do. So I enjoyed the program quite a lot. And it was during the program that I developed particular interest in making children's clothing. So
oh,
then I started like looking at what to do. Like I did my during the program, we all, like, every education system has some internship to do, especially degrees. So I went for an internship in a kidswear brand in Delhi. So then I thought, okay, I think kidswear is something that I really enjoy. So I started doing more and more kidswear. So I think when I was doing design, I was doing a lot of children's clothing. So I don't know what else to tell you about.
how do you measure kids? How do someone makes a kid's cloth? I want to know. Kids keep on growing so fast, no?
Yes, yes, that's always a challenge. That's why, there's so many sizes in kids. So that,
Ah,
and if you've noticed, everyone is always buying two sizes plus. No one is
yeah,
buying the actual size.
yeah. Because
So
anyway, my mom also like, anyway, he'll grow, so we'll buy two size up. So as a kid, I never got to wear a cloth that was my size. Always I was in oversized clothes.
yes, yes. That time I used to also think maybe I should make, the same clothes that fit older people, also fit younger people. Some fitting you do, those kind of ideas I had. I don't think I got successful in any of those, but I definitely had those ideas. So yes, it was. But designing kidswear is a lot of fun because it's not, it's technical in a way also, but it's also it's a lot of enjoyment. Like you can just be very playful about and creative about making kids clothing. So that, I mean, that's during the internship I stayed in Delhi. So then I really liked staying in Delhi. I mean,
Okay.
my grandparents, my mother's side grandparents are also like my mother's from Delhi. So we used to go to Delhi, like my childhood summer vacations used to happen in Delhi also. So I used to like it anyway. But then when I did my internship, I thought, okay, after NIFT is over, I'm going to come and live in Delhi. I think Delhi was also not so polluted at that time.
Which year was it?
2005.
Fine.
Mm.
So then did you come to Delhi and work somewhere, or like did you start
Yes,
your own
yes,
thing?
yes. No, no. So I finished college. Then after I finished college, I came to Delhi, and I took up a job there. I took up a job in a buying house, which is in Gurgaon.
What is a
Gurgaon.
buying house?
So there is something called export house. There is something called buying house.
Okay.
So buying houses are like the middle people between an export house and a buyer.
Oh,
So, like, for example, if you know let's say you run a brand in London and you're looking to get something made in India. I'm giving a very, very basic example.
Okay.
And you're getting something made in India. You want to get something made and you don't know how to approach which exporter and what. So you'll come to a buying house. So you'll come to me and then you'll share your requirements and then I'll find an export house which can make something for you, and then we can work that out. And then there's also designers in the buying house who will also help with the design.
Oh,
So that's how it works.
so you were one of the designers.
Yes. in
Did
the
any major brands come? Did you get to like interact like that?
So yeah, there used to be like there was Paul Smith was there at that time.
Oh,
I never got to meet Paul Smith himself, but I did some small work for Paul Smith. Otherwise, there were more mass market brands, all from UK, but mostly mass market. And it was there, I think, while I was there that I thought that okay, I need to do something more than just what I'm doing.
now that is
So
what I want. Okay, you're skipping through all the things like when I'm listening, everything is effortless. I'm like, what? No, main masala.
okay.
Now you have to talk.
No, like I mean, see, like when I was in Delhi working, it was okay. It was nice, but it wasn't making me like fully happy with what I'm doing. Like I wasn't sad. Not to say I was sad, but there was I wasn't feeling like this is it. This I used to feel that this is not what I'm supposed to do. I'm sure I'm supposed to do something more than this. That's all I always used to think. So then I decided at that time I wasn't sure of what more I should do, but yes, something else I should do. So then I applied for masters in London.
Oh, you have gone to London. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So then I went for my masters to London. And I think I have to say, when I reached London, I thought, मैं घर आ गई हूँ, like that.
Oh,
Like I've reached home. I actually felt that way just as I reached London.
how
And
come?
like, I don't know, the place felt so nice and familiar. And I don't know, it's mad to say that it sounded familiar, but it did. And I was quite happy to be there. So then, of course, I think London life I enjoyed quite a lot. So, and because it was a very good balance between going to college, also exploring. London is very rich in culture as well. There's a lot of museums and a lot of um, expositions and those things that you can go to. So it was a lot of fun to be in London. I used to enjoy being there a lot. So then I thought, when I was doing my master's there, then I thought, okay, now I'm going to stay here.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So which was something I did also, because as soon as I finished my masters I took up a job there only. So that also I did in kidswear only.
Kidswear. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a famous brand. It's called Mother Care. At that time I think it wasn't so famous in India. So and this is 2010, 11, that time. So then I started working there. Then I was living there only and enjoying it. London is really nice, like, to live in. I think now it is getting more and more crowded and also polluted. But yes,
Did you wake up early morning at those times?
no. So yes, that is some masala I can give. That because in the design field, it is designers are known to reach late and not do anything on time, not meet deadlines.
Oh, is it?
Not always. There's a disclaimer. I'm not saying bad for any designer,
Yes.
but in
Designers, if you are listening to it, sue her.
that notion is there. And I think we were also like, I was also okay with it. Like, it's okay. I wouldn't ever be late or anything, but yes, I never used to wake up early in particular. In fact, I think I used to spend more time working late nights. So that time I used to do the opposite. I think I used to stay up till 2 and 3 in the morning. Opposite from what I'm doing now. So, what
Yes,
was I?
Akka. Yes, you have to continue, Akka. Like from there, London, what happened? How did you come back? Like, why did you stay there?
Oh yeah. So no, I was just saying that it was it was a lot of fun to be there, and I enjoyed the journey that was there in London. And I had decided not to come back. I had thought that I'll get my visa extended and stay there, and at least near future. I didn't know like forever, but I had thought I'm going to stay here for some years.
What were your food habits in London?
habits in London. I used to still eat a lot of vegetarian food.
You're a
Most
Lucknow, you know. What is the famous kebab over there? I've had it. The soft kebab.
Sunday kebab.
Ah,
No, but because I come from a vegetarian family,
oh, okay.
largely vegetarian,
Okay.
it's not that I haven't tried and I haven't eaten. I used to eat non-veg also. I think I tried more non-veg in London only.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But because in my childhood, I didn't eat much because my family was vegetarian. Only my brother used to sneak out and get some non-veg sometimes. So that time I didn't like, I never used to have the courage to taste it. So I used to just watch him eat it, but I wouldn't eat it. So in London, yes, I tried different cuisines because then there, like when you're going out, it's a very social place also. So you end up socializing quite a lot. So when you go out with friends, like I had Irish friends and I had friends from Norway. So those people would eat very normally, right? It's a part of their everyday meal. They wouldn't think, oh, this is veg, this is non-veg. They would just eat everything. So I tried a few things here and there. Then I also discovered that I'm allergic to some things. I can't eat them
Oh,
only.
okay.
So, like, I can't eat prawns and I can't eat those things because I tried one tiny thing I tried
Mhm.
and I got like
Oh,
some funny
oh.
things on my face. So yes, anyways, for that time I used to have. Then, yes, of course. Then I think I don't know how to talk about the transition, but something not so nice happened. So, like, I was there, and this. If I can just shortly recall the incident, I just got a phone call saying, like, please come home. So I wasn't sure why, because like my parents hadn't called me, someone else called me and told me that, you need to come home. And that person who had called me, I wasn't very frequently in contact with him also. So I wasn't even sure, like, why was he calling me? I mean, he's a cousin and a good friend, but still, like, why is that person calling me to say? So, anyways, because he said it was urgent, I came. Then I, well, I lost my brother to an accident. So, sorry.
So sorry, Akka.
It's okay. I mean, it's been some time, but still. Sorry. Okay. I had thought I'll skip this part. But okay, anyway. So that's why I came home. And then of course once I was home, I mean I didn't think I wasn't sure whether I'm going to stay here or go, but seeing how my parents were, because he was my elder brother, so then I thought, no, looking at how things were, I thought, no, I'm going to stay here. So that then I decided to come back to Lucknow. So when I was in Lucknow, then once, I think for a year or so, I didn't know what's going on. I think that because actually, I mean, to sum it up, before that, nothing bad as such had ever happened. So I had a very happy, positive, and anything I wanted, everything I wanted to do, everything was happening. So I didn't know that things can turn, the other way also. But after this, it was like, oh God, like this can also happen. Like you can just suddenly, somebody who's always been there with you can vanish. Like really, this can happen. So those things took quite a lot of time for me to settle, but me, my family also. But anyways, once that happened, I thought, okay, let me start doing some work here. So I started making clothes in Lucknow. So then I started like my own brand per se.
Oh, what was the brand name?
It was called by my name only,
Oh,
Geetika.
awesome. Do you still have it?
No, I mean I closed it then after
But
some
do
time.
you have some clothes of that? I'm asking.
Uh, I do have them,
Okay,
but
okay.
I don't wear them.
Okay.
So
Kids
that
wear only. Kids wear only.
no, I did both. I did women's clothing and kids. Actually, maybe I should have worn something from
Yeah.
that brand, but so yeah, so that I did for some time. It was good actually because I enjoyed what I was doing, and It was doing well also. I think it picked up well in Lucknow. Then I spoke to some stores in Delhi and I was selling there also.
Oh,
It
okay.
was good. But still, I think something was lacking. Something was missing. I was enjoying it, but still something. I same thing like what I told you earlier. Then also I started thinking, okay, this is not the only thing I'm meant to do. There's something more. Those thoughts started coming to me again. So then, anyways, I left those thoughts because I wasn't sure what I'm going to do. Then one project, before I had gone to London, I used to know some exporters. So one of them called me and said if I can move to Delhi for about 6 months because they want to involve me for a project and all that. So then I thought, okay, it's a good idea. So then I closed my brand. I mean, I didn't completely close it, but main functioning I stopped. I stopped producing. I was only designing. So I used to take people's like whatever demands or requests and just design and then find them someone to make it. I started doing that. So then I moved back to Delhi. Back to
Back to the base camp.
yes. So once I moved back to Delhi, that is when inner engineering happened. And how inner engineering happened was also while I was in Delhi. So this exporter I was working for used to work for a French brand, and those people would come over, and I would be the only person who could entertain them apart from the exporter. Like he it wasn't a very big export house, so he wouldn't have too many people who could interact with the French people. So then I thought, okay, why don't I start learning French?
Okay.
So then I started learning French, and it was in the French school I met like who's a very close friend now, Karan, who's also an Isha volunteer. I met
Oh,
him.
okay.
So he introduced me to this inner engineering. That time he didn't tell me anything. He's like, he said, okay, okay, बस आ जाना. एक program होने वाला है, तुम आ जाना.
Another trapped.
So I kept pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. I didn't go. I used to tell him, हाँ मैं आऊंगी, and I used to go. So, but then he was also quite persistent because I think, and the French program I was doing also, I did for at least a year. So I think in the second semester of the program, then he told me, please ajana, something. Then I think one day I thought, acha, he's been asking me so many times, why don't I just go? So, and I didn't know about Sadhguru at that time. And I also didn't know that this inner engineering is being run, like it's from Sadhguru. I had no clue at that time. So I just went. Then of course I did that in Delhi only, Delhi South Delhi Center, I think it is called. So I did my program there, and I think like how inner engineering happens to everybody, it happened just like that. Suddenly, same things like how I was, thinking that this is not for me and I'm not going to do this. Those things suddenly stopped mattering to me. Suddenly, that same Delhi traffic that I used to crib about so much stopped bothering me. Like I particularly remember these things. Suddenly, that hot weather stopped bothering me. That it's 50 degrees, but it's okay. So these little things, I was like, okay, something is happening, something more than what uh, I think I still didn't get the grasp of inner engineering really, even when I did it. But I started noticing these changes within me, that okay, something different is happening. Same people at work whose faces I didn't want to see, I stopped bothering. I wouldn't mind seeing them. In fact, I started talking to them also. So like I thought, okay, wow, this is like something greater than what I know is happening. Then of course I just kept doing. So I did my inner engineering sometime in October, and then I think in November December I heard about this Hatha Yoga program, 21-day Hatha Yoga program. So this caught my attention even more. So then I asked Karan only, like, what is this program? Again, he said, oh, it's nothing. You just do it.
Ajana, Ajana.
So then I thought, okay, this sounds very exciting. Let me do it. But that time, the only challenge was that it was from 6 to 9 in the morning.
Ah,
And I never used to wake up that early that time. I don't think I ever had a problem waking up, but still, it was not something I used to do. So then I thought same thing. 6 o'clock, 6 to 9 means you have to reach there like earlier than that. I think not six. It was 6:30 to 9 or 6:30 to 9:30, something like that. So, anyways, okay, then I enrolled for that program. And I think for me the bigger turning point was that Hatha Yoga program, because suddenly, like, I think for so even from the Hatha Yoga program, I have a small memory to share. That first day, I reached just on time. Like, I think if the session was starting at 6, I reached there at 5:59 or something. So because there were 10, 12 people, I got the last seat to sit in. So I mean, the hall was such that because I was sitting in the end, I couldn't see the demonstration properly. I had to like keep, and there was a tall person sitting on me on top of that. Like, I'm
Oh,
not tall, and there
great.
was a tall person sitting in front of me. So I had to keep doing that to see. And it was, the first day was very annoying for me. So I think maybe it was a good thing, because from the when once I reached home, I decided, okay, no matter what, I have to reach early tomorrow. And like they said also, it will be good if you can come early and all that. We say that, right? Now I'm
Right.
old. So from the next day onwards, I remember all 20 days I would be there like 15 minutes before the program would start. And I used to take the first seat so that I can see well. Anyways, while it's a funny incident to share, I think it made a lot of difference also, not just in the way I received the program, but my level of commitment to it changed, and how I experienced it changed. So also, in those 21 days, like I said, I was not active before that, not physically active, only drawing and painting and reading, those things I used to do. So suddenly I started feeling very light in my body. Like, at that time, I used to live in an apartment on the third floor, and there was no elevator. So I used to find it so difficult to walk those three floors if I had some like baggage or something to carry. Normally it was okay, but with some vegetable shopping and some grocery shopping, I used to think, oh God, how will I climb? And I used to take really long, because I used to climb one story, put the things down, then wait, then climb one more, then wait. And then suddenly in these 21 days, that changed. I mean, I started feeling like I can fly. Really, I started feeling like I can fly. I just started feeling so light in my body that it was just amazing. I mean, I'm sure there were many more benefits, but this in particular, I remember that I just became so light. I used to think, like, for example, when you see people dancing and jumping and doing these particular poses, I used to try them at home sometimes before. I could never do. I used to think like I can't, maybe I'm not made for this. I can't do it. But then I think it was because I wasn't active and my body was not trained like that. Maybe because of that. So suddenly after this, I used to jump a lot. Suddenly after that, I started jumping a lot because I would feel so light. That's why. So then of course, I mean, things whatever I was doing, that work, all that continued. And the one remarkable difference that came in my life was that, like when we finish the program, we do the mandala, and then you do the practice every day. So I didn't skip my practice for a single day,
Oh,
and I don't know how that happened. I
yeah.
really don't know how that happened, because I don't think I was so committed to other things I was doing. I was enjoying everything I doing, but my level of commitment was definitely not the way it was for Hatha Yoga. I would just make sure, even if I had an early morning meeting or something, I would make sure that it happens in the evening. But somehow just make it happen, happen, happen. And then I think that was the I think, well, at that time, I didn't think I'll become a teacher either. But still, I think that was one thing that made so much difference to how I was. Again, same thing, that you're still in the same situation, but suddenly, small things stop bothering you. Your own body, you become more active. Same thing, and not just active, also like your level of productivity changes. I think that is something everyone experiences. That same thing you're doing in 5 days, now you can finish in 2 days. So those sort of things started happening. So then, of course, then I met my husband. I mean,
Slow down. 0.5x we will go. Yuka, I won't allow you to go so fast.
so I mean, like of course, I've never done this on live before, but
This is
also,
not live. This is podcast. This is
yes,
unlive.
still, I mean, it's going to go
Yes.
as is, right?
Yeah.
And I've also been very shy. So sometimes I feel okay, now I need to rush to the next.
No, I won't allow you to rush. That's why I'm here.
Okay. So I was talking about meeting my husband. Okay. So I don't know what should I tell you. Meeting my husband was also just amazing because I felt like I knew him when I met him.
Oh,
The common connecting point was that he lived in France and worked there. So when he used to speak French, and by that time I was also fairly fluent in my French. So I think one connecting point was that first day we met, we started talking in French.
oh,
So I was also very happy. I think he was also very happy. And I mean, he's my husband is my cousin's husband's best friend. So that's how I met him. So one day, like, he came over I mean, he's from Chennai. That's how I was in Chennai because, so I had gone to meet my cousin, and that's where I met my husband. So one day he came over for dinner and to my cousin's home, and we were all having dinner and then sitting and chit chatting and drinking and all that. And then I think we chatted the whole night and we didn't realize that the whole night has passed.
oh, okay.
So my cousin also fell off to sleep, and her husband also like said good night and left, and we were still chatting, chatting, chatting. We chatted till like 6 in the morning. And then like my cousin's husband, he came back and he said, "Oh, you guys are still here?" I'm like, yeah, we were chit chatting. So, anyways, I think that itself was a great connecting point because I think before that, I mean, okay, to add some fun to the story, before that, my parents were trying to, find a suitable match for me. And you know how matchmaking can go. So, I have a lot of funny incidents to share from there because well, also because I'm not very tall, so a lot of people would comment on that. So that, I mean, now I can laugh about it, but it wasn't the most pleasant thing to be told. So that was one. But apart from that, also the fact that I used to work, a lot of guys used to find it very intimidating that I used to work. I don't know what kind, maybe the guys I met were only that type, but I met a lot of those who would say, "Acha, shadi ke baad."
Oh,
So,
okay.
so I would be like, okay. So those kind of, I mean, that was happening. So I was meeting people whom I couldn't sit with for a conversation even for 1 hour. I used to think of like, I used to start looking at my watch. कि अब मैं कब घर जाऊंगी? So and after that, then I met my husband, and then we spoke the whole night without even realizing कि इतना time हो गया है, and we kept talking. So that itself was this amazing connection. And I think he's also he's very, like, we had a lot of common things, and we connected very well with each other. So, and he's also of course very kind and polite, and not just that, like, he respecting women is something that I noticed, like, he had a lot. So I think I was like, okay, he's the guy.
Oh, you decided that night only.
No, no, no. I
Please,
didn't
please
decide
give us
that
men
night,
tips. This podcast can be also giving us men tips also. You can give.
no, see, like, I mean, that I knew. I mean, I understood the first day that he wasn't judging me because all these, I don't know, 20 people, 20 men I met before that. I don't know the number. I'm just saying some 20 that they would always judge me for something, either my work or how I look, or even one guy for my hair also. So something or the other they judge you for. But when I met my husband, he was more interested in knowing about my life, about my journey. He was interested in sharing his. He was interested in knowing, what I think about things, not like what I am on the outside. So that itself, I think, was like a great starting point. So I
So,
think
so young guys listening to the podcast, listen to this very carefully.
no, it's true, right? Like,
Right.
and he never he never, until today, in fact, like, he never really, he will always tell me, like, for example, if I'm doing something and if he feels that I can do it better. He'll never say it's wrong. He'll always tell me, maybe you can do this better this way. And then, of course, and I think it's also not just his approach. You also take it better because he's saying it for your welfare. He's not imposing his ideas on you like that. So, and of course, during that time, I forgot to mention from French, somehow I moved to teaching fashion.
Oh.
So while I was in Delhi, learning French and working in the export house as a freelancer and all that, I got an opportunity to teach in NIFT Rai Bareilly, which is about 70-80 kilometers from here, from Lucknow. So then I thought, oh, close to home, okay, maybe I can go.
Okay.
So, and it was like a full-time opportunity. So I thought, okay, this may be exciting. See, like, because like I said, that time also I was still looking for something more to do. So even though like while I was practicing my Hatha Yoga and doing everything daily, I still was looking for something more to do. So then I moved to teaching. So then I started teaching in National Institute of Fashion Technology, Rai Bareilly. Here also, I think all the teachers knew that I used to wake up early in the morning and do my yoga.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah, because by that time I was doing my practices like early in the morning every day. So then, of course, then I met my husband, and then I was still teaching, but then yeah, then I left that. Then I think I just in some conversation before we got married, I was telling my husband about teacher training. I never at that time thought I'll do it. I was just telling him, there is this training, you can go and stay in the ashram for so long and do. I had no clue what exactly it will be, but that you go and stay there for this long. And I had seen some videos and all that. So even he said, oh, it sounds very interesting. Maybe you should consider going. And anyways, that conversation just finished there. I didn't go. And then we got married. So
Easily? No, like everything happened like.
yes, yes, very
Oh,
easy.
oh, nice.
So, I mean, I think my parents are also very liberal.
Okay.
So, even though like he's not, if you say caste and all, then he's not from the same caste. But I think my parents were not bothered. They were also concerned about finding a good human being,
Great.
not
Right.
like what his caste is and all that. So that happened very smoothly. My parents were very excited because they were like, "Oh, you are telling us about somebody," because they were tired of making me meet all the boys. So yeah, so the wedding went very smooth, and it's also that it's interesting because we got the year we got married, just few months before that. Actually, the way the wedding happened was a little fast. Just when we decided to get married, we got married in 2 months from that.
Oh,
So, because like I mean, we thought, okay, what are we waiting for? If he's ready and if I'm ready and if we're willing, then why don't we just like get married? Why to wait longer? And then that happened. So that same time when we were also thinking about getting married, and I was also we were also talking about the teacher training program. So, like my husband is so kind and so wonderful. He even told me, "Why don't तुम शादी के बाद ही भी चली जाओ, teacher training कर लो." So then I thought, no, like not just immediately after getting married, because it's also something new that you started. It's another journey. So I thought, okay, not just immediately after. I'll wait this year, and then maybe we'll see next year. Then that year passed. I was settling in Chennai, and you know how like I was facing language issues. I started teaching in NIFT Chennai by then.
right.
So I moved to teaching there, and having some Tamil language issues and learning little Tamil.
You have to speak little Tamil now so that like we
Yo,
can. Are you saying the truth or not? Little bit Tamil. You have to say.
little bit Tamil. What should I say? Um, I don't know what to say. See, I know little words here and there. If you do you know Tamil?
I know a little bit. I can understand a little bit. Like so because I'm from
Okay,
Kerala,
because
I
like
see a lot of Tamil movies. Say how you go to a restaurant and order something. You can order something, right?
you order something, I don't know. First word I learned in Tamil was Venda.
വേണ്ട വേണ്ട ഇഡ്ഡലി വേണ്ട വട വേണ്ട ഒന്നും വേണ്ട.
I think first word was Venda. Second phrase I learned was Nalla Irka.
நல்லா இருக்கு.
Yeah, that was and then also Rambo Nalla Irka.
ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு.
Like ghee,
சூப்பர் கூல்.
especially like ghee roast dosa. That ghee roast dosa.
pyramid தோசை.
Yes, that would be like Rambo Nalla Irka.
ரொம்ப நல்லா.
So, and little words. I mean, if you say something, I'll get it, but I can't really say the same thing. Like little words here and there, I know. So, anyways, all that was happening. 1 year passed, and then again, I think at some point I mentioned to my husband about the teacher training, but I left it at that. So I was talking about it, but I wasn't filling the form.
Okay.
So then one day my husband told me, if it's on your mind, then why don't you fill the form? So then I told him, no, I'm a little apprehensive because we just got married and I feel, like I don't want to leave you alone like this and go because it will be 5, 6 months and all that. So then he assured me, he told me, you don't worry, you please fill the form, I'll be fine. So he actually sat and made me fill the form. So he said, no, you fill it because I can see like your heart is really into it. Please do it.
You are hyping Anna so much. I'm sure the viewers will ask to see.
I know maybe when he sees this, he'll say like, but he's also very shy. He'll start blushing. So, anyways, I filled the form, but then just as soon as I filled the form, he had a small accident and his knee got injured. So he had that ACL and meniscus tear, if you know about it, like in the knee. So
It's one of the most.
the ligaments, they like
Okay.
he had the tear in the ligaments. So then I was like, oh, now I can't go. Like, how will I leave you like this and go? And I mean, there was time still because the doctor had recommended surgery. So there was enough time. He has a long life. He's calling.
Oh, okay. We get to see a glimpse. We got to see a glimpse of him.
Yeah.
Do you want me to pause, Akka?
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll tell him. I'll call him. So, yeah. So because of his this accident, I was like, no, now I cannot go. Then he said, no, you don't worry, there's time and there's surgery that will happen and I'll get better. Even the doctor actually assured us, he was a good doctor, so he assured us saying that don't worry, in some days of surgery, not some days, in a month or month and a half of surgery, he'll get better. And so anyways, I had already written to the school saying that I may not be able to join if my husband doesn't improve and all that. So and so but still, because again my husband said no, you must go, and then he did get better. He started walking normally again. He couldn't run, but he started walking normally again. So then I went for the training, and then of course the training happened, and then we all know.
A little bit inside. Again, you skimmed through the training. Stop. Back. Rewind. A little bit more. Like, I know you can't say much into the training and it should be like that, but some things you went through the training or like what was happening within you.
I think the training was very intense, more intense than I had thought. And not just intense, very beautiful. I think just staying in the ashram, you keep going to the ashram, right? So just being in that space, like being in that space for 6 months and doing sadhana, it was just too beautiful to even say in words. So I don't know what else to say about training.
Okay, then I'll let you be. So then talk from training to the first class. This Akka is not with. Let's go to the first class after
Oh,
training.
like so after training, I joined. Do you know about Isha Life Health Solutions? There was one center in Chennai.
Please talk about it. No one knows much about it. So if you could talk a bit
Okay,
about
it's
it, that would be
actually not functional at the moment because of COVID, but there was a center called Isha Life Health Solutions. It was on Mount Road in Chennai. And what was unique about it was that it was a mix of medicine and yoga. So there were Ayurvedic doctors and Hatha Yoga teachers. So people would come, they would get treatment done, and based on whatever the doctor's recommendations would be, they would also learn yoga.
Hmm.
So I joined there. And
Oh.
of course, some people would come just to learn yoga also, but a lot of people would come with some ailment, some illness to get cured, whether it is physical in nature or mental also. They would come and get some treatment done for that and also do yoga. So I started teaching. I mean, the training finished in December. I came back, and in January, I joined. So that time also, like, I think my parents said, what is the rush? Can't you? You've been away for so long. Can't you take a break? Then I was like, no, I was in such a big rush to start teaching. So I said, no, I'm going to start teaching now. So I joined there. That was also a very beautiful experience because, to see people come with their own particular ailments, whether it's big or small, irrespective, and then not just go through the treatment, but also go through the yoga and the classes. And then when you see these little transformations happening within them, it was just so, like, it's just so beautiful. Like, I can't say more than that. I have to thank, like, Sadhguru for it, really, because it's so amazing. I don't know how else to say it. So that continued. I mean, I would have been there had COVID not happened. So then, yeah, so I think until March I was there, and then of course, because of COVID, they announced that they'll stop taking classes because of safety reasons. By that time, I think the lockdown had not happened, but I think Isha had announced that we'll close the center for some time. So they closed the center, and then of course we were all home and in lockdown. And then during lockdown, I thought, okay, now what to do?
Right, right.
So for some time it was good also, because then, like, during classes I was getting less time for my own sadhana. So just as lockdown happened, I thought, okay, now I can, focus on doing more and more sadhana. So because anyways you're at home throughout, right? So that happened. And then of course after some time I thought, okay, maybe I can start teaching. And then of course online teaching options opened up, and then a lot of teachers were teaching online, so I also decided to teach online. And just as I decided to teach online, I thought, I can't just suddenly start teaching online. I need to come up with a brand name,
Right.
and come up with some small story behind it and those things. So that is how, like, Pravaha Yoga came into being.
What is the
So
meaning of Pravaha?
Pravaha means flow.
Slow.
Flow.
Flow.
Flow. So, like, I like yoga in the flow, if you can say it like that. So then Pravaha Yoga came. Then I spent some time, of course, thinking of names and doing my logo designing and everything, because everything I do on Instagram and everything I do myself. So my like all the illustrations, drawings, of course, having a design background was
Right.
supportive in that way, because I knew some technical softwares and those things to help. I still don't know video editing. I somehow manage.
It's very good video editing actually. You do the reels, no? It's very good. I'm like, how is I can't
Actually,
do it.
thanks to YouTube only, I think,
Right.
because so many people put up these little educative videos. I
Yeah.
keep watching and editing. But yes, apart from that, all my designs and everything for Pravaha Yoga I did. So I spent some time doing all that, and then once that happened, I started teaching. So again, online classes only. And then it was also good because I approached some schools in Chennai. So then I managed to do some classes, because schools were also eager to do some, some activity for the children, even though they are at home. So then I managed to get some projects with some schools also. Like, there was an international school called Campus K. I taught there. I mean, it was nice because they were the longest. They did classes for a whole month. So, and it was a lot of fun, because they used to it had kids from third standard, fourth standard, and fifth standard.
Okay.
So fourth, fifth standard kids are still like, they listen still.
Yeah.
Third standard kids just get up and leave.
Leave.
Then you have to first, make sure that they are listening to you, and you're talking to them. You have to interact a little more with them, and then make sure that they're sitting there, and then you make them practice. But then it was still a good experience, because once they start listening to you, kids stay. In fact, kids pay a lot of attention once they have your attention, which is what I learned, that you need to get their attention somehow. If you get their attention, they'll listen to you. If you don't get their attention, they'll get up and go. So, and online is that, like that, right? You can't stop anyone. If a kid
Yeah.
suddenly just gets up and walks away, what will you do?
Nothing.
You just keep waiting for him to come back. So it was a great experience. So here also, I mean, why I'm mentioning kids is that I somehow came back to teaching more children again. So my
Ah, kids
kids,
clothes.
kids clothes, kids designing, kids classes. But no, I was doing adults classes also. But yes, I was enjoying the kids classes more also. So then, just then, of course, then from Chennai, in October we came to, my parents are in Lucknow, of course, so we've been in Lucknow since then. So
So now are you conducting offline classes, Akka? Like,
yes, yes.
yeah.
All the like when I share posters for Surya Kriya and Angamardana, I have like an Angamardana session starting tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So those classes I'm doing offline, but some online classes are still going on. Like it was very exciting when I did a food program online.
Nice.
So because I mean, I've always paid attention to the food I'm eating, but I've not always cooked it.
Right.
Oh, and the lockdown taught me how to do a lot of cooking. I think that it did to all of us. But I have to tell you about the way I used to make my rotis, because
Okay.
first I used to make roti like papad.
Oh,
Then I looked at some videos on YouTube and learned it a little bit. Spoke to my mother, "Can you please help me? My rotis are like papad. What am I doing?" Then slowly I got the hang of it, and now I think I make really nice rotis because my father wants to eat rotis that I make.
oh.
So I think I've finally mastered the art of making them.
Will you put a tutorial on a Pravaha.yoga
Or
on?
making roti. Yeah, maybe some fun video can come up. It's actually not difficult, but I mean, I think our mothers are all super trained and
Yeah.
super fast and experts with it. It's just about getting to do it. So yeah, so coming back to the food program, so then that's why the food program was very interesting, because not only was about paying attention to what you're eating, but I was also exploring what more to cook, what more options to explore. And so the food programs, of course, are online, and of course like a lot of people from all over the world join, which makes it even more interesting because everyone's food habits are very different from each other. So it's not just about, it's a great learning even for me as a teacher, because everyone, like, somebody is prioritizing something in their food, and then like the common questions come up that if I'm going to be only vegetarian, how will I get all the nutrition?
Hmm.
Those kind of things also come up, and somebody because who's born eating only meat always questions that, because they come with the idea that is that you too, Anna?
Yes. Me too.
You also think that that's the only form of
Oh,
nutrition?
no, 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 no. That's not what I meant. Like,
Okay, okay,
I'm just identifying with that guy. Like, who was
okay.
it?
Yeah. No, I think so. It's an eye opener in a way that you realize that
Yeah.
because we've it has been passed down to us as a tradition doesn't mean it's the only thing we can do. We can do a lot more than that.
Right. Oh,
So
yes. Yes, I continue. Continue. I was just reminiscing my. I still eat, but the hardcore days of non-vegetarian.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, that's, and now I'm just busy with doing classes. I'm actually planning to do a little bit of travel with classes also. It's still
Okay.
in plans, but like because from Lucknow, like I can go to Varanasi and
Right.
conduct classes. I can go to Allahabad, and maybe until, like, I was thinking Jaipur also. So let's see. I'm planning these things, that if I just travel for some days, take a class and come back, that also can happen.
There's actually a lot of people asking, like, when Jaipur make up class hoga, like, where is like,
Oh.
yeah, there are people like sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking because what happens is I think smaller cities don't have so many teachers.
Right.
So even if you just travel and do a class there and come back, at least they'll have some opportunity to start learning. So yes, I have Allahabad and Varanasi and Jaipur in mind for sure. These three places. So
So
I think
where yes, Akka.
Jaipur will be the first one I'll try, I
Okay.
think. So hopefully, like in the next week itself. I'm still working out the logistics of where I will conduct the class, but because I don't have any contact there, but I'm sure I'll find something. So,
So, Akka, you have to tell, where can the viewers reach out to you? Where can they reach? If someone from Allahabad, Varanasi is listening, how can they contact you?
I think the Instagram page is the best way to reach, because if you send me a message, I'll very promptly respond to it. Of course, if I'm in a class, then no. Yeah, that too I have to say, because recently somebody called me many times. So I just want to say that please don't panic if I don't call you back. I will call you back. Maybe I'm in a class, that's why I'm not calling you or answering. So I will call you back. If not the same day, then maximum by the next day. I don't take longer than that. I usually end up answering all calls same day. But yes, if it's evening and because I do evening and morning both sessions. So if a call comes in the evening, then definitely I'll take it the next day. So my Instagram page, I think, is the best place to
Can,
reach me.
can you spell it out? I'll also put it in the description. So
It's pravaha.yoga. So it's Pravaha. Pravaha.yoga. So that's the Instagram page that you can.
awesome, Akash. So now, before I let you go, anything last like you would share with the audience or something that you would like to tell them?
Uh, I would say that, don't go by any rules. You do what you're committed to doing. And what that means is that, wherever you're finding your heart is, what you're doing to your best ability, and what you're enjoying the most that you're doing, you just do that. Don't go by any rules. That's it.
Awesome. So
Because
for
that's what I've learned. Because I mean, from moving from design to yoga, I think I finally found where my heart is. So I think all of us eventually do. And yes, until you find where your heart is, keep searching as well. There's no age for that either. So
awesome, Akash. So if any of us guys who would want fashion tips or something else, can we reach out on Pravaha.yoga, or is it only
yes,
for yoga? Only
no,
for
of course, fashion tips as well. I mean, again, this is a long plan, but I want to start doing some clothing for yoga as well,
right,
and some comfortable clothing that which you can wear through the day as well. So that's a slightly longer plan, but that also I hope will happen. So,
awesome. So thank you so much, Akka. Thank you. So uh,
so I hope you
namaskara.
didn't get bored, Anna. You were saying boring.
No, no boring. Now we want to see Anna in the next one.
Oh, yeah, he's gone to Chennai. Once he comes back, maybe next time.
Okay. Okay, Akka. Thank
It's
you.
really nice talking to you, Anna.
Okay.
And I hope everyone also enjoyed the
Yes. So
session.
check out Aka's Instagram page and you can follow her. And if you want to wake up early, definitely go to that page.
Oh yes. Yeah, because actually that is something I'll quickly ask you. What do you think? I have stopped posting my early morning photos thinking that everyone must be bored of seeing me in the same pose every day. So because someone messaged me saying that Akka, you still getting up early because you stopped posting. So
Ah, see. So that the answer is already there. You have to continuously post. We
oh,
have social media, so you can show daily that you're waking up.
I
No,
thought same pose, same pose. Everyone's getting bored of seeing me like that.
next time do this pose. Do some dance pose like this 3:30 a.m. Woke up, guys. Before yoga, I do jumping.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, some fun posting
yeah,
before
yeah,
starting yoga.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay.
So tomorrow's Instagram, that right? Jumping poses.
Yes. Tomorrow I'll say your name before
Yes,
I start.
yes.
Should I call you at 3 in the morning?
You will get आप जिस व्यक्ति को कॉल रहे हैं वो आपको अभी बहुत गालियां दे रहे हैं. That is what you'll get. My Brahma Muhurtam is at 7:30, 8:30.
It's 7:30. Oh, okay. 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 No problem. I won't call you and disturb you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Anna.